and excuse me, and we do the one of the main things outside of discussing the game in depth is that we want as many people to join in as possible.
Yep, that is a big thing that we definitely want to have a conversation with as many people as possible. So by all means, say whatever else, whatever you have to say in chat, and keep an eye on it.
Yeah, and that means on cam or on mic as well.
Yes, definitely.
So if anyone wants to do that, you would just have to let us know, and we'd add you into our little group conversation on Discord. You do have to go into our Discord server. The link is below. Just message us then, and we could add you in. You could be part of the show on the stream. Be famous. And then, so from here on out, Vance is the leader of this. I'm sorry if I'm like taking over. I'm used to like doing that sort of to leading
worries.
things. So from here on out, Vance shall introduce everything and everyone and all that sort of stuff. Take it away.
All right. Well, thank you. And yeah, so Simulacra. Is that how you pronounce it? Simulacra?
I pronounce it Simulacra, but
Simulacra?
your guess is as good as mine. If I would assume the dev is in chat because they mentioned they were going to be here, so maybe they could give us a phonetic, pronunciation in chat or something.
I think it's an actual word, right? I probably can look it up how to pronounce it. I would imagine
That's true. What's it look like?
It turns out that I actually don't understand how to read things that
I'll
tell you how
look
to
it up.
pronounce things. So anyway, Simulacra.
Prep in chat
like
says he's heard it pronounced Simulacra, but there's an L.
Simu.
All right, so I have Simulacrum. Simulacra. So it's like simulation opera.
Okay.
Simulacra. Yeah. That is a weird... You can actually... Here. Actually, I can play it for everyone who's listening to... You won't be able to hear it unless you're listening to the stream, but everyone else can hear it.
Simulacrum.
Thank you, Google. Simulacrum is how Google pronounced it. There you go. Simulacrum. All right. Simulacrum, according to Google.
There we go. Good.
Google's the authority.
I would not have thought to pronounce it simulacrum. I would not have thought to
Well,
the A.
Simulacra is actually how it would pronounce because there's no M at the end, but
Right.
I guess the word closest to that would be simulacrum, according to Google.
Right. I think simulacrum is singular, right? And simulacra is the plural.
Good call. Now I gotta look up. Yeah, you're right. Simulacrum is. Simulacra is simulacra is the plural noun, according to Google. An image or representation of someone or something, an unsatisfactory imitation or substitute. That's the definition given. Which actually makes sense.
Yes.
Congratulations on using SAT words to confuse the hell out of everyone.
Well named game.
There you go.
So this game is a sequel to another game, right? Or is it
Spiritual successor?
Spiritual successor.
Spiritual successor to Emily is Away 2. So it's kind of in that voyeur-ish. Not that you're watching someone necessarily, but you're kind of digging into someone's life because you have to in this situation. And Emily is Away 2 was not so much. I might be getting confused. Emily is Away is the one that it's like an AOL messenger, I believe. There was another one that was similar to this that I can't think of the name of. But the idea is that you're kind of digging into this like weird personal life through like some kind of digital means.
Well, you know what the game... I haven't played Emily's Away. I did watch someone streaming it briefly one time, but I don't know. I don't know that much about Emily's Away. But what this game really reminded me of was Her Story.
Yeah, that's kind of in the same vein, I would say.
Yeah, it's not the same thing, of course,
Yeah.
but it really reminded me of that, of kind of trying to piece together the story from, and doing that some research to piece together what's going on.
So I have a question for you.
Yep.
There seems to be kind of an insurgence. Sarah's Missing, not Emily is Away. Sarah's Missing is the one I was thinking of, the other phone one.
Okay.
I got the names mixed up. Sarah's Missing. Thank you. And I believe Raven Myth or Ravon Myth, I'm sorry, is the dev, if I'm not mistaken there. But yeah, Sarah's Missing. But yeah, there seems to be kind of this insurgence of these kinds of a small insurgence of these kinds of games coming up. What about it do you think is attracting devs to make it and people to play it? And they kind of fall into two more general genres of like drama, as far as the one that you mentioned. I can't think of. I'm if I didn't mention earlier, I'm feeling like crap, so my brain is not working 100%. Her Story, and Emily is Away are kind of dramatic, like, whereas Simulacra, Sarah's Missing, are more horror. So, but what do you think is drawing people to this particular niche?
Well, I think you see a lot of narrative games being made these days, especially by indie studios, and this is an interesting way to tell a narrative that is not it's not cinematic. Usually when you think of a narrative game, you think of kind of a cinematic game. It has a plot structure, and kind of follows the traditional structure of a plot. And games like these, they take you out of the plot structure while allowing you to discover the narrative for yourself, which is, it gives the player agency within the narrative. So I think that's why it's attractive. Especially if you're playing this game on your phone, which I did not. I played it on my computer. But
I was just about to ask, like,
this game on your phone,
do you feel like it's pretty immersive compared to most games?
Yeah,
and in particular, if you're playing it on your phone, since it's a game about being on a phone.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would imagine that would be pretty immersive, right? If you have a phone and you're playing the game that looks like a phone on your phone. I don't know. I'm not a smartphone user, but I would imagine that that would be.
Well, maybe they can
real.
Maybe they can port it to Rotary.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know, and I think that's part where that's partly where the horror comes from. Is that it feels like that it could happen. Maybe not necessarily. I don't want to spoil anything for those who maybe didn't play it. Well, I mean.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said the last show, I kind of assumed that.
I guess if you're watching this.
Yeah, we assume that this is a chat amongst people who have played the game.
Well, let's go ahead and just say that if you're watching this and for some reason have not played it, then maybe close your ears for a few minutes. So I know in there sometimes is like in Sarah's Missing, there was this weird to compare it to. There was this weird like cultish kind of supernatural thing. So, I mean, compare this game's plot to that. Do you think it's more or less immersive because of the as far as like realistic goes?
I'm not sure I understand. You mean compared to Sarah's Missing? I never played.
Well,
Sarah's
I'm telling
Missing.
you, like Sarah's Missing has like that supernaturalness to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, as does this.
Yeah, but would you say it's more or less? Is what
I
I'm
mean,
asking.
I can't really say because I haven't played
Oh,
Sarah's
yeah.
Missing.
Yeah.
So.
See, that's where my brain's coming in. I just the logic, the logic is missing. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. Having not played Sarah's Missing, I can't say how this compares to that game.
I was on a one track thing because it's a spiritual successor to that, and I was like, of course he played it in my head, and I realized.
Right.
Sorry.
So I guess let's see. What should we talk about? What are the things that were good about the game? That's where we should always start.
Sure.
The well done aspects. I guess we already started talking about the fact that it, being immersive and giving player agency. We kind of talked about that.
Mm.
That is a well done thing. I'd like to maybe wait a minute and see if anyone has anything in chat to say about it.
Yeah, well, while we're waiting, so we don't have like any dead silence or something like that, but I think outside of the immersion, that there's I appreciate this type of horror in general. It's I guess it would be kind of hard to really jump scare someone with this kind of game, although I feel like people could try just throwing loud sounds or whatever. But there's this. It's not like traditional horror, like ooh spooky. It's more of a level of really being uncomfortable. Outside, because one, it starts with having to dig into someone's life that you don't know, and unless you're a real creep, that's kind of like kind of feeling. And then on top of that, it starts. It's just the entire time. It's a sense of unease. Even down to the character, the couple characters that you interact with.
Yeah, but both of whom seem like not very great people.
They're all terrible.
Yeah.
Damn teenagers. I don't know. Was it? I forget. Was it established that how old they were? Maybe they were like young adults.
They were not teenagers because they worked at a job.
Yeah, I was just thinking. Except maybe they were like in their 20s or something.
They acted like teenagers though. They were getting into an argument on a phone chat while we're trying to save a woman's life. They're fucking bickering.
Well, I was gonna. Well, actually, that the Tinder guy, I was going to bring up
Taylor,
when we go into the stuff I didn't particularly like. So I'll save that for later. JaShinYa said, for me, the game was both immersive in some ways and unimmersive and jarring in other ways. So, like, what other ways, like, would you say it was jarring for you? Was it jarring for you at all, Vance?
No, I wouldn't say it was jarring for me. I didn't particularly find it scary, I guess. I found it was very immersive for me because I really liked that sort of gameplay of discovering things. So I was really interested in figuring out, finding out more about the plot and figuring out what's going on. It felt more to me like a detective story than a horror story when I was playing it, because I really felt like, I need to get to the bottom of this. I need to solve this
Right. I guess that's where you got you drew the comparison to
Her Story.
Yeah, to Her Story, because of that detective aspect.
Yep. Yeah. So that's how it felt to me. And I'm not a really big horror game fan. So that was fine by me. But I guess I don't know if someone is really into horror games, if this would scratch that itch or not.
Did this game take you out of your comfort zone for
just
games in general?
Not really. Yeah, not really. Because like I said, I really am into narrative games of pretty much all kinds. I'm a narrative game fan, and so games like Her Story, games like Contradiction. Contradiction, of course, is a completely different gameplay style than this, but still, I find there's similarities, because it's that same. It makes it it has the same feeling for me of solving something, getting down to the bottom of what is actually going on, and basically digging up the plot. Like, okay, here's more plot. So like the gameplay is basically finding out more story. So this game is totally right up my alley.
And they're sticking with things that they did well and all that sort of stuff. They had it somewhat open ended with multiple endings. You actually went through and got them all, right?
I didn't get all of them. I only played it through twice.
Oh, okay.
So
what did you think? Was it worth going through multiple?
Yeah. I mean, I would say going through twice is about right. I don't think I would be that interested in going through probably playing it a third time, because I don't think there would be enough variety of different things that could happen for a third time. But
for those looking for like replay value, is it like, because I didn't play it
replay value is hard with narrative games, and this one does a good enough job of it. Like I said, you can definitely play through twice and get enough interesting results. But it's always hard with narrative games, because at some point there's only so much story that's there, right? You can't replay what you already know. At least I can't. I mean, some people do.
That was what I was going to ask. Was that when you played through it a second time, was like, where were the variations? Was it only at the end, or were there variations as you went through?
There's a few different variations throughout the game, like with how much you tell to the guys, right? That's a big decision, and so you can. It's like every narrative game is the same as this. Like, it doesn't really affect everything on a grand scale. It mainly just kind of affects the messages that you get, right? That it's the story progresses the same way until the end, and I guess there are a few different endings, although I couldn't ever figure out a way to save everyone. So I don't know if that's possible. Probably is, but I don't know. Maybe that had something to do with what I did before.
Did you kill everyone?
I'm not really sure. I killed Anna, actually.
Murderer.
Yeah, I know. If you're
gonna kill anyone, you should have killed that dumbass Tinder guy.
I know, but actually, when I played it the first time, I really felt bad at that point, because I'm like,
well, I guess he didn't ask for it. Really,
it felt like I lost the game because I had to kill someone.
Yeah.
Right? So there must be a way to win, and there must be a way to not have to kill someone.
Well,
But
maybe it's just
it
full
really
of tragedy.
felt like I lost the game at that point.
Some of the best horror films, there everyone just dies, and there is no
Yeah.
happy ending.
Oh, sure, sure. Yeah, definitely.
That would
Dead.
just Evil Dead. Well, that I'm not even going to Evil Dead. I mean, that was like, not first of all, not everyone died. Almost.
Yeah,
everyone.
they did. Yeah,
Evil
Ash
Dead?
even died at the end.
Did
yeah. Although that was retconned in the second one, but at the very end, the last shot
It's
of
been
the
a
Evil
long
Dead
time.
Is the evil. He thinks he's won. Daylight comes out, the sun comes out. He walks out of the cabin. He thinks, "Oh, thank goodness! Finally, I survived the night. Everyone else is dead." And then suddenly you see the evil coming up, and the last shot of the film is his face screaming as he dies.
Oh, so you don't see a body. Then he's
Yeah,
not
but he
dead.
doesn't. But he doesn't actually die because he's still there in 2. So
Yeah.
what actually happens?
And then it
you
just
find
gets
out
ridiculous.
in 2 is instead of dying, he gets possessed. Right. So that's the beginning of Evil Dead 2. Is he gets possessed instead of dying, and then he somehow snaps out of it, unlike anyone else is ever able to do. Entire.
Well, if you watch the new series that's on Showtime or HBO or whatever it is,
I've seen a few episodes, but I haven't watched.
He's like the chosen one or something like that. So I guess that goes into it. But anyway, JaShinYa said that in some aspect he kind of made connections between Phantasmagoria 2 in this game. Like some of the good parts of Phantasmagoria. Did you ever get that feeling? I've actually never played Phantasmagoria.
I've played Phantasmagoria 1. I have not actually played Phantasmagoria 2.
I wonder.
So,
well, if go ahead and let us know like what parts specifically, because we're kind of curious. I haven't played that. He hasn't played the second one. So, do you have any other like specific good things that you'd want to mention off the top of your head right now?
I guess the writing was good. It felt genuine enough.
Well,
for me, so
so like this may lead into like the dislike category. And
yeah,
we're not alone on that because JaShinYa said the same thing that I said, but like for the Tinder guy, I think he was the worst offender as far as like disliked and kind of over the top as far as like a trope goes, was it the writing or the voice acting that really like you're like ugh?
Voice acting was not good, I'm sorry to say. So I tried to shy away from saying anything about that until we get to the negatives. But the writing was good. I thought, it was well put together. It was well structured.
I think for the most part it was, but again, it was kind of written for at least that guy to be. I did like the Anna and I forget the boyfriend's name, Greggy, that was it. I liked the two of them and just the kind of the argumentative, like things were kind of rocky relationship, and where it kind of goes from there. I liked that. It's just that I thought the Tinder guy, writing wise, was a little on the nose. Like he was just short of sending us a dick pic.
Yeah, I understand that. I guess I kind of just accepted the fact that after a while I kind of just accepted the fact that these people were stereotypes, and I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with it.
They have their place.
Yeah. And I mean, it's certainly not like
I didn't think
the deepest character development ever in this game.
Well, that's kind of hard to do. I mean, you're on a cell phone, but like it.
Yeah.
I didn't think Anna and Greg were tropey or anything like that. It was just the other guy.
Really? I thought Greg was the creepiest person ever.
He
Taylor
was
was
he was
less
like
creepy to me.
controlling. He was, he was
Like
like,
he's a stalker. He's fucking stalking her. After they broke up, he still won't admit it.
yeah,
The guy's a complete loser.
he is controlling, and I mean, it's not like an original thing like boyfriend or ex-boyfriend are like super jealous, controlling, stalking, blah blah blah. But he could have been a bro. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So that was nice. I mean, the medium that this was taken through, just the fact that it's all being done through a phone, kind of, because you mentioned character development, and I actually thought they did a pretty good job with that, mm-hmm. considering that you're limited to that that little screen, mm-hmm. That and the flow of things through the game, because another part of writing is making sure everything flows together, and the fact that again you're limited. Not only are you limited, but then you have the player part of the mechanic is that you can dig through it. I mean, there is a linear plot for the most part, outside of the few branches, but the player can still kind of dig around as much as they want and all that sort of stuff, and there's still a flow to the story, mm-hmm. which I thought they did a good job with.
Yep.
Tegan Gia said they connected with Anna right away. She was, mm-hmm. really well done. I agree. Yep. She was a strong, independent woman. Although she was kind of an asshole to her mom.
Was she? I don't remember that.
I'm pretty sure. Maybe it was the mom being an asshole to her. I remember. I actually, because this game I played a long time ago.
I remember.
Not long.
Yeah,
the mom. Ago, but...
Yeah. The mom sent an email. I don't think you ever talked to your mom though, right? Or her mom. I don't know why. I
think there's
you're not Anna, but
there's emails, but I thought there was like a voicemail or something. That you can dig up, or some kind of audio recording.
Maybe there is.
Quickly got tired of Taylor. Maybe that's a plus to great writing, because he was definitely
he was definitely intensely annoying.
It's an interesting.
There's no good people in this story. I mean, I guess
they should have all just
Anna is a good person, but yeah, the people you interact with are not good people.
I thought, it's kind of interesting. An interesting dichotomy with Taylor, the Tinder guy, is that as annoying as he was and as skeezy as he was, because of how the horror was implemented, you still, I mean, maybe it's just me, but I still felt like I really wanted to not have him go away, even though he, mm-hmm. was annoying and skeevy, because as you dug into it, you're like, you need that some kind of support, like you're not going crazy and you're not alone in this, and he was there the whole time talking to you, so I actually kind of appreciated that, that even though he was disgusting, you're still like, but don't go away, because I'm this is a weird situation and I need someone. Like if it was me in real life, I would feel that way. I'd like anyone who is in this with me, even though I'm dragging you into something probably dangerous, I still I don't want to be alone with this.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, the first time I played through, I killed Anna and saved Taylor. That was my choice at the end. Ugh. Right? Because I don't know Anna. I've been talking to Taylor.
Well, I guess that's true. But you've been digging through Anna's life the whole time.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, that was a hard thing for me. I couldn't decide what to do. But I guess in the end, what I figured the first time was, Anna's already been taken. So, I could save her, but if I send Taylor in to die, then I'm killing him, not the evil. I am killing him.
Right.
But she's already been taken, so if I just you know,
But
have him kill her, which is possessed by the evil, then I'm not really killing her. At least that was my thought at the time, right? I'm not really killing her. She already is possessed.
I guess for me, there could be kind of a thing where she was already in the shit,
Yeah,
at the beginning, whereas he is
exactly.
an innocent bystander. So, like,
Right.
why do you have the right to kill him off when he was just like some dude that was not in the wrong place, but connected to the wrong phone, I guess,
Right.
at the wrong
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
So,
that was my thought on it. Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. What did you do at the end of the game?
I saved Anna.
Okay.
Yeah. I couldn't stand. I was like, thanks for the help. Dead.
Yeah, I did the second time I saved Anna. The first time I saved Taylor.
Sorry, my son came in here.
Hello, Josh's son.
Shut the door, please. And now my guinea pigs are talking. So
I don't know how many endings there are.
I don't.
Chickens,
Dev's in chat if he wants to say. Otherwise, you can just find out for yourself. Play it 10,000 times. Do you want to talk about, since we kind of like hinted at it, the negatives?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, so I think we've already got it out in the open that I did not like the voice acting very much.
It was really heavy-handed.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I will premise this with saying, for me anyway, that I'm kind of a snob because I am a voice actor. That is my main profession.
Right.
So when I it kind of takes me out of it more than it does other people if it's not good. So there is that, maybe for me anyway. I mean, I know there's two other people that say 5 endings, Dev says.
Okay.
But for me, it might be like more so than anyone else. So I might have a little bit of a bias because
well, I mean, I'm not a voice actor. Well, I guess I kind of am, but not professionally. But it also, to me, really took me out of it. Whenever there was voice acting, the final voice acting for the creature, that was fine. I thought that was fine.
Yeah. Well, that was processed a lot too.
Yeah. I thought Greg was the worst. Absolute worst voice acting was Greg. Anna was probably the best, although still she wasn't perfect either. But
hey, devs, there's at least one of you in the chat. I'll be your next voice actor if you want.
Yes, there you go.
Let me know. That's a little bit whoring myself out a little bit. But I mean,
kind of in the same vein.
I will, in their defense, real quick, in their defense, I will say that voice acting is expensive. If you want like professionals to do it, you're talking like on the lowest end of what would be considered professional is like $100 an hour, up to 3 characters. So if you do more, then you're adding another 100 on. So a lot of times indie devs go to amateur or semi-amateur sites, which isn't a bad thing because there's a lot of talented people on there, but they're a lot of times they're very inexperienced, and they might go over the top, or so you just kind of take what you can get in that situation.
Yeah. Yes, very, very much true. I am, as you know, making a game with voice acting right now, and we're going to be recording voice acting probably within the next month or so.
Oh yeah.
So definitely have been in the muck of looking for inexpensive voice acting, and
I can
it's
send
it's
you.
one of those things where you can find it. You can
Oh yeah.
find inexpensive and good voice acting, but you really have to search and you really have to vet those people. And like you said, even there are a lot of you know maybe voice actors who are starting out who are not bad, but you need to be a when you don't have the money to just throw money at the problem, right?
Well, hopefully,
You need to sort through a lot of muck in order to get the pearls out of that.
yeah. And ideally, first of all, I will say that I'm thinking about, just for any devs listening, since we're on the topic, I've been thinking about starting a casting service for indie devs specifically, because I know a lot of people and in a lot of places, and what to look for out of those like cheaper, like if you can afford the expensive stuff. I definitely know that people, there's myself and I have like a group of friends as well who charge like the standard rates. But if you need like the discount stuff, I know where to go and what to look for. So I was thinking about maybe doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll talk about that some other time on another platform. Ideally, though, what hopefully will happen is that they've made enough money off of this, and it has garnered a decent amount of popularity on YouTube. I think Jesse Cox was one of the bigger ones who played it with some of his people. I think the Completionist and a couple of other friends. And I think someone else too that I've seen. I'm sure it's all over the place, but they're like some of the biggest ones. So hopefully, that attention and the fact that it's well done, overall, means that they've sold enough that they can afford to make a sequel, prequel, or something different altogether with better voice acting. That maybe they can afford, the more quality stuff.
Right. So what I was going to say before too, while we were kind of on the topic, is the recording of the voice acting was, and I didn't notice this at first, but I knew there was something that just seemed weird to me, and I was like, why does this seem weird? And then I figured out what it was. The recordings are too clean, right? For people who are just talking into a cell phone.
Oh, no filter was used on the recording, is what you're saying.
It sounds like too well recorded. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like it doesn't sound like someone is talking into a phone casually, right? It sounded like a well recorded and rehearsed thing.
Right. But that's an easy fix, at least. I mean, and that's another thing too. If you get the chance to make another one or another game, you learn from that, and that's. I'm not sure if they had someone who is specialized in audio, or if it was just someone that had to like pick up the slack in that department. Because I help out another team with some PR stuff, and I get to see the behind the scenes, and it's like indie studios being so small, and not being able to necessarily afford services of people who might be experts in specific areas, kind of have to like learn stuff on the fly. So maybe they didn't have, and he could, they could, you could say maybe yes or no in the chat if they have an audio guy or not. But something like that is simply compressing the audio a little bit, adding a phone filter. If you really want to, get into like, I mean, it would only make sense if it was like trying to make it creepy, or if you were going through a tunnel or something like that. But maybe there's a good part to put in like some static, where it's just breaking up like a cell phone would in a shitty place. So
right.
And they are working on a sequel.
Oh,
nice.
Oh yeah, nice. So yeah, Tikan says that the phone calls kind of were immersion breaking, and I agree with that. I kind of wish a little bit that there were no phone calls, right? if they just never called you at all, then
I don't know.
it would have been, you know what I'm saying? Like, as soon as they call you, then it kind of reminds you, oh yeah, phones can actually also call people. Why don't I just call them and talk to them instead of doing this text shit? And it kind of breaks the illusion.
Well, here something
once you realize that.
Since this is a spiritual successor to Sarah's Missing, if I remember correctly, Sarah's Missing had instances where you would try and reach out and do stuff like that, but whatever evil, nefarious presence was there would like prevent it. Sometimes giving you some weird glitches, or like that garbled like demon voice through static of the phone, that sort of thing. So I think that's one way to kind of deter that loop, that hole in the plot, I guess you could say. The other thing is, I don't necessarily agree. I mean, in one way, I guess not having the phone calls would kind of isolate you a little bit more, which adds to the horror. But I don't know. I don't know if I completely agree that it was completely breaking, because it is on a phone. So, like you said, that's part of the thing. And then, to cover the fact that you couldn't necessarily contact whoever else, then, you could have those roadblocks implemented.
Yeah, it's just the fact that you can't talk back, right? You can't have the conversation, so it's just...
Oh, the one-sidedness of it.
Yes, the one-sidedness of it. It's really, it reminds you, oh yeah, this is fake, because I can't say anything.
You know what would be kind of a cool mechanic? Is if... Because there are some games that utilize a microphone, and I understand not everyone might not have a microphone, but I mean, most people have headsets or something. If you could implement, voice into it where you could respond somehow. I don't know. I'm just spitballing. I don't know how it would actually be implemented, but it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that'd probably be difficult, but
I don't know. I'm not actually a dev, so I don't know for sure. They'd have to tell me. Do you know? Like, I mean, you're a dev. Do you know what that might entail?
Voice recognition.
Yeah. Like, there's some that are like really...
Not something I've dealt with before, so it's out of my area of expertise.
There's a game where there's specific words that you can say. I mean, even before all that, there was a game called it was Tom Clancy's End War, I think it was, where you would say commands into a headset. But then indies, there's one where you would have to say words for specific magic spells. And then I've seen a few horror games where the mechanic was to be quiet, so if you were to like say something into a microphone, it might draw attention to you. So there's depending on how crazy you want to get with it, there are, I guess, more simple... The point I'm getting at is there are probably more simple ways to utilize that mechanic.
Yeah.
Not that anything would be chasing you, I guess, in the phone, but maybe like, if you were to say something, it would just at least trigger a response back. Yeah. Or it could give you, like, maybe prompts on screen, say yes, no, like, these are things that you can say and you can choose.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that when it comes down to it, in the end, the phone calls did not feel necessary to me. That's I guess, if no one ever called you, I mean, they only call you there's only a few times in the whole game where they call you, right? Like 4 or 5 times.
Well, a lot of it is just like audio recordings.
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. That's not the phone call. The audio recordings are a different thing. There's like 4 times or 5 times, I don't know, where someone actually calls you.
Okay.
And that's the part that I think the game could have done without, right? Because it just reminds me that it's not real because I can't say anything.
Yeah, okay, I see where you're coming from. I'm just a little less picky about it, I think.
Yeah. Let's see. I've got some notes here. What else do I want to say? Oh yeah, sometimes the choices were off the bottom of the screen, and so I could not see them. So there was a bug there.
What, you played on phone or on PC?
On Steam,
Okay.
yeah, PC.
Interesting. I don't remember that happening to me.
So I don't know. It probably doesn't happen on the phone. Maybe I don't know.
I would be surprised, since it's made to be on a phone.
Yeah.
Did you, Tika in the chat, did you forget to swipe up like you would on a... He doesn't have a smartphone, so maybe he doesn't know. So on like a smartphone, you know, like touchscreens, you would like swipe up to like scroll. And in
Well,
the
yeah.
game...
I know how to scroll. I figured out one of the things also is the scrolling sometimes.
Well, what he's saying is that you would have to like do it kind of like it's on a smartphone, where you would have to take the mouse and fling it up as if it was on a smartphone.
Right.
Were you maybe having trouble with that?
Whatever I tried didn't work. But it was only a couple times that it happened. Where there was an option that was off the bottom. But one of the times it kind of pissed me off because I accidentally chose something that I didn't want to choose because I couldn't see what it was. So I was trying to scroll to figure out how to even see, and I accidentally clicked an option that I didn't even see, and it was the wrong thing. It's definitely not what I would have wanted to do.
It's more realistic, Vance, because you can fat finger on a smartphone, and you're like, shit, no, I didn't want to. I didn't want to tell my girlfriend to fuck off. That was autocorrect, you know. Could be that way.
Right.
Just
Exactly.
the silver. You think of the glass half full.
Yeah. I didn't mean to type "you're a stupid bitch." I meant to. Yeah, and the scroll wheel worked, you know, on the PC, so I could use the mouse wheel to scroll. But sometimes it scrolled opposite.
So you were using the mouse wheel. I think that might have been the problem.
No, I mean when I was reading like emails and stuff. I'm not talking about for the options. The options I couldn't figure out a way to scroll. Anyway, there might have been, but I couldn't figure it out.
Like you're supposed to hold the click down and like roll it upwards.
But I mean when I'm reading the emails, right? And
right.
You scroll down through. You could scroll with the mouse wheel, but sometimes when you scroll down, it would scroll up instead. Kind of strange.
I don't know. I feel like that's user error.
No, if you knew what I was talking about, then you would know that it's not. I mean,
Pixar didn't have
that was only slightly annoying. I mean, if it always did that all the time, scrolled the wrong way, then I would have gotten used to it. But it only sometimes did it. Sometimes it scrolled the right way, and sometimes it scrolled the wrong way. If you saw what I was talking about, you'd see that this was definitely 100% a bug, but not like a terrible one.
That's by the way, next the sequel needs to be all in emojis. It has to be emoji speech. And it's gonna piss Vance off. Just to piss him off.
Yes, I realize that, Tika. I'm not that stupid, but you what I'm talking about is it was inconsistent. Sometimes it would scroll up when you scroll down, and sometimes it would scroll down when you scroll down.
Well, I know sometimes too my mouse wheel is kind of loose, and like for whatever reason it like clicks backwards. Like I'll scroll it and then it'll be like between, you know, like two notches or whatever you want to call them, and it'll like switch back a little bit, and then it'll fling. I don't know.
Yeah. But anyway, that's neither here nor there, really. I mean, wasn't a huge deal. It's something I made note of, and I already mentioned. I have a note here about why the hell are these guys bickering like they're in middle school when we're trying to save a woman's life.
That's what guys do, man.
It was strange.
When there's a girl involved, that's what guys do.
Really? Is that what guys do?
Yeah, you got to measure your dicks against each other.
Man, I've been doing it wrong the whole time, I guess.
See, I was here being an adult, and I thought, okay.
And yeah, so that's it for my list of negative things. Not a very long list. I think the voice acting was probably the biggest issue, right?
Yeah.
We talked a lot about that.
Yeah, I think so. Is there anything that you would add to the game? Like, not necessarily something that's negative, but just, do you think there's any... Because we've been talking about, like, just flinging random mechanics out. Is there anything that you can think of that you might think would be a cool addition?
That's a good question, and I don't know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I think the beauty of the game is in its simplicity. Mm-hmm. I think if you added too much more, it might throw it off. It might just ruin it. I think where it is was good. I like the fact that the puzzles in the game were just about at the right level, I think. Not too difficult, but not so incredibly obvious, right? So
wasn't there like a sliding puzzle, like one of those? Or am I thinking of another game?
No, I don't think so. Not in this game.
I might be thinking of another game, but I thought there was like one of those, like there's one missing square and you have to slide squares around to
right, the sliding tile puzzle.
Yeah,
but I don't think so. No,
I probably am thinking something else then.
There was not in this game. The game, the puzzle I'm thinking of right at the top of my head is the one where you have to look for numbers in the girl's updates, right? Uh-huh. Twitter updates or whatever it is that they're posting on. I don't remember what it was called in the game, but right. It was basically like Twitter. So yeah, you have to figure out what her phone number is so you can call her. And there were a few other puzzles in the game too. So I liked the fact that there were actual puzzles that.
Well, it's just enough to like change things up, keep you on your toes without blocking you from continuing the narrative.
Right.
You know, it's narrative first, and then the puzzles are just addition, like, you know, topping.
Yep.
Sweet whipped cream.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that the puzzles were well done, just about the right level of intriguing, but not too difficult, right?
Yeah. So, and you mentioned earlier, because you are very much like an adventure gamer, but you enjoy narrative in general. So you mentioned earlier, you know, that this you don't usually play horror, but this is right up your alley. Would you say that this is a good bridge into other genres that people might be able to take from, say, you know, narrative heavy games to horror or, you know, anything like that?
I don't know. I think people like what they like. There's no gateway drug, I think, that is going to make people like something that they wouldn't normally like.
I disagree with that.
Really?
Yeah, through my time with Indie Game Riot.
I mean, people's tastes change, of course, but I don't know.
Through my time with Indie Game Riot, I've been opened up to good roguelikes. For a long time, I didn't like roguelikes because I hated the idea of starting over after, you know, putting so much time into progress. But I've been opened up to it through good games. Yeah. Same thing with like shmups and bullet hells. I hated them because I suck at them. But there's been these cool like mashup combinations of different genres that kind of have the core mechanic of those games that have really opened me up to those. I think you know.
Yeah, I mean I know what you're saying. For example,
the horror in this is kind of is I would say light compared to most, because it's more tension than anything, until the end, really.
Yeah.
So I think that someone who's not necessarily into horror games would still be able to play this and maybe ease themselves into it like a steaming hot tub.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. I was going to point out, I really do not like shooter games, but I really got into playing APB for a while because I just like that game. But I still don't like shooter games, even though I like that game. So I think I kind of am sticking to my guns on the fact that I don't think.
So you're more just the fact that there's exceptions to the rule.
I think you can like certain games from genres that you don't generally like, but it's not like a bridge. I'm not gonna suddenly decide I love horror games because I liked one game that was horror, right?
Yeah, I get you. That's fine.
I don't know. Maybe some people do. I don't know. But
I think it also helps that I'm kind of forced to open myself up to it because of Indie Game Riot.
Right.
Because I can't shun what are actually good games away because I don't particularly like them.
Right.
There's only one genre that I've really done that with, and not even on purpose. It's just it's hard to find in my mind. It's hard to find something substantial. Is like the anime type of games. Although recently we had our first anime based game on the show, which was the Doki Doki Literature Club. So
okay. I've yet to play that. I keep hearing so much about it. I need to play that sometime.
Yet another game that's kind of drawn me into that. It's weird between that and like dating sims. You know what I mean? It's kind of the same difference a lot of times. So. You have any other notes?
I think that's pretty much all. I mean, I've certainly gone through all of my notes that I've written down about it. It's pretty much all I had to say, to tell you the truth.
Cool. I mean, we've been going for about an hour, yeah?
Yep.
So,
an hour.
Yeah, it's not a bad place to stop. Simulacra.
Lifeline games. I don't know. I haven't.
We learned a vocab word. Put that on your word of the day list. Simulacra. And appreciate the devs for not only stopping by the chat, but just in general. Of course, I'm not sure if we used any or not, but providing keys in case people for some reason couldn't afford to purchase the game themselves.
Right, we didn't use any.
Hey, that's awesome because that means people bought it.
Yeah.
So, but I still appreciate the generosity, and overall, I would say that this is a great game. I think Vance agrees.
Yes, I very much enjoyed it. As I said, it felt like a detective game to me. I'll say again, it didn't really feel like a horror game to me, but that's good because I like detective games. I'm not really that big of a fan of horror games, so I enjoyed it. It was good.
If you were to put it into a movie genre, it's more of a thriller with a bit of a horror ending. I would say because it's a little weird.
I think really it has a horror ending, but the whole rest of the game doesn't feel like a horror to me. I mean, it's kind of a little bit uncomfortable feeling, a little bit thrillerish, right? But not necessarily horror. I don't know, but that was my feeling. I think more because of the gameplay. The gameplay felt like a detective sort of thing.
You're piecing together clues out of someone's life.
Through clues, yeah.
And I definitely see where you got that, the comparison to her story, so after mentioning that. Do you want to remind people of how much it is, where they can get it, websites and all that?
Yes. PlaySimulacra.com, I believe is the URL. If you haven't already played it. I'm looking to make sure that I am right about that.
Again, they're working on a sequel So get hyped for that. And again, message me if you want voice acting. Even though I do charge standard rates, I do work with indies, keeping in mind that you're indie. So just let me know.
I tried to post the link to it, but it deleted it.
Are you not a?
I guess not.
You are now.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
So there's the link.
Yay!
Oh, deleted it again. What the?
No, it's in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I see it.
I see it. Okay.
You got a sword next to your name, and I see it. So you're all good.
Interesting. Because it's
probably just some sort of like refresh issue or something.
To me. Yeah, probably. In any case. What was I saying? Ah, yes. So there's the link. If you haven't played Simulacra.
Simulacra.
I totally forgot how to pronounce it. Yeah, Simulacra.
Simulacra.
Yes. So if you haven't played that, you should. One of the things I was going to mention is I think it's well priced, right? It's appropriately priced for its length, and the amount of gameplay you get out of it. That's always something that I pay attention to, is the price of games.
I've gradually got I do too, and I used to be really like Scroogey with the price of games. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I better be getting my money's worth. But again, through Indie Game Riot and all the stuff that we've been doing, I've kind of gotten opened up to how much goes into making a game, even simple ones. Not just energy and time, but financially speaking. And it might seem sometimes this game doesn't feel like it's overpriced, but sometimes games feel overpriced. But you know what? They've put a lot into it. Support the devs. If it's a good game, even if it's short, I mean, at least you're having. The important thing is that you're having a good experience. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely, for sure. A lot of blood and tears and sweat goes into games. Not to mention a lot of money goes into making games. And so it's hard. It's hard to find the right price for a game. I mean, how do you put a price on destroying your entire life just to accomplish your dreams? But
I understand. I'm not a dev, but I understand the creative anguish involved. Voiceovers aren't too different in that case.
Right.
And Dev says the sequel is an unrelated story, but within the same universe. Ooh.
Oh, okay.
They're creating their own universe, like Marvel, but Simulacra.
It's going to be a big blockbuster Simulacra movie within the next couple of years, for sure.
Hey, man, that's how you get your money. Slender Man, Five Nights at Freddy's, they've all got movie deals. They're making bank. Well, I will say that thank you again for joining us. And again, this is Indie Fireside. We do this once a month. Vance kind of puts everything together. I know I'm so used to like leading the podcast. I feel like I kind of took it over from you. So I apologize for that.
No problem. I hope that in the future more of you will decide to come on to the voice chat. I think that's kind of the fun part is being able to chat in real time and voice.
Definitely. You can be on cam too, but you don't have to be if you're self-conscious or don't have a cam. You can just do the microphone and you be a part of the stream. And we always choose a game every month that's under $10, so we try and keep it cheap for everyone. But understandably, not everyone can afford that even so. So we usually try and pick up some keys if the devs are kind enough to provide them. So that way we can have them to give those who might not be able to. That way they can still join in on the conversation and spread the word about it at the very least as their contribution to supporting the dev. So next week you'll be announcing the new game on the 1st of March.
Yes.
I think Eric, because Vance, you picked the first one, I picked this one, So it's
Yep.
Eric's turn. Who's going to be picking the next one? That'll be interesting.
See what it's going to be. Looking forward to it.
Nice. You have anything last words to say to everyone?
I do not. I am a man of few words.
Bravo. Encore. All right. Well, thanks again, everyone, for stopping in the chat. This will all be on the recorded version, so you watch and record it. All the links will be in the description. And you can always contact us through various means, like on Twitter at IGR Podcast. Best way for this particular content, Indie Fireside, would be on our Discord channel. Again, link in the description, or if you're in stream, the Discord button is below. And one thing, too, that you can help us improve everything Indie Fireside, Indie Game Riot, Indie Revolution Expo, all that sort of stuff, is to check us out on patreon.com/IndieGameRiot. We always appreciate that support as well as we continue to grow, add more content, all that sort of stuff. All right. Well, Vance, thank you once again for doing this.
Yeah, always a good time.
We'll see you all on Discord and talk to you in another Indie Fireside next month.